This is episode 77 of the EdTech Takeout from Grantwood AEA. My name is Jonathan Wiley, and I'm joined today by my co-host in quarantine, Mindy Kearney.
Hi. Oh, hold on. Did you mute me?
No,
yeah.
I couldn't hear you.
You did mute me.
I did not mute you.
I went to talk and the thing came up. It's like, you've been muted. Oh, rude.
Did I do that? Okay, that was not on purpose.
Yeah, whatever. All right, here we are.
Here we are again.
Here we are again.
We're still on Zoom and we're still having Zoom problems, apparently.
We are, I guess. That or I'm just like officially on mute in your Zoom, which is fine.
Well, I'm the host of the meeting, so that means I can mute you at any time, really, doesn't it?
It really does.
Yeah.
Clearly. How are things going in your home these days? Just doing a little social-emotional check-in.
I appreciate that. I guess things are going as well as they can go. I mean, every so often tensions rise with the kids or with my wife or whoever.
Or with you. I'm sure she feels the same way about you.
Yes, I think everybody gets on everybody's nerves a little bit. You get a bit of cabin fever and things like that now and again. But for the most part, I'm pretty proud of my kids for, handling this really well. I know there are a lot of kids that get really emotionally upset and distressed about things that are going on in the world. And I'm happy to say my kids are not in that spot right now. We managed to keep them distracted or going with enough things around the house. So, yeah. What about you?
Yeah, everything's going really well here. Me too. Like my, husband is still going into work every day, and he said something like, hey, I just thought maybe I'd come home for a day and try and work from home and just give you a break. And I said, like, I always want a break, but I'm really good. Like, the kids have been awesome. They've been very independent in their schoolwork, so that I'm getting work done in the morning and they're getting their work done in the morning, and they are, I always say how well my kids get along. They play together all day, every day. So, and they're not really fighting. They did fight over the TV this morning for a little bit, but it's been really good. And I know how lucky I am. I'm constantly reminded how lucky I am. So I don't know. Quarantine this is a crazy time, but I've really enjoyed the time with my family. So.
Yeah, and I don't know if we said this in the last episode, so forgive me if I did, and we can edit this out later, but the governor of Iowa has officially closed schools until the end of the school year right now. Right, yep. So schools are now in this for the remainder of the school year, and I think that's changed the tone a little bit in terms of how people are approaching this, and now we've got people starting to think about what if this comes back in the fall and the winter? Yeah, right, we need to gear up a little bit here and make sure we're prepared for that too.
Yeah, it's definitely game day for the digital learning team. That is for sure.
Yeah, it is. Now we're earning our money.
Yeah, that is right. Which
kind of brings us into some of what we're talking about today, I guess.
Yeah,
so,
right. Yeah.
Should we jump in with our news and follow-up?
Yeah, let's do it.
So last time on the EdTech Takeout, we talked a little bit about Zoom and how that just kind of appeared out of nowhere, and suddenly everybody was Zooming and all that good stuff, and that was as much as a surprise to Zoom as anybody else. But, people have been jumping on that bandwagon too, and Google has rolled out a ton of new things to try and compete with Zoom. So first one on the list here is one I actually talked to Stella Pollard about this morning on Twitter.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that's the present high-quality video and audio in Google Meet. Mm-hmm. So this is a new option you'll see under the Present tab.
Right.
And it will give you the option to do what's called Present a Chrome tab. And I think the idea here is that, normally when you would, if you wanted to share a video with your Google Meet group, everybody would just hear it through the speakers on your device and not natively on their device, but if you present through a Chrome tab, everybody hears it through their own speakers as if they were playing the video basically, and had better video and audio quality on that one.
Yeah, I played with this this morning just for a minute because I have it, and you can turn on, it looks like to me like you could turn on that presentation audio, turn it on and off, like there's a toggle switch too, so I don't really know what that means. I mean, I guess I don't really know what that means, but I was like, why would you toggle it on and off? Like, aren't you clearly wanting to use your presentation audio? But maybe not. So
yeah, I don't know either. I think there's also the option, if you want, you're just presenting one tab, that maybe you as the teacher could have another tab open and looking at that tab, but everybody else is still seeing the one tab you're presenting from. So if you were just, checking on what's coming next, or you had some notes on another tab or something, you might be able to use it for that too.
Yeah, I'm super curious how well that works. I know my son has told me that when the teachers try and play video in Zoom, it doesn't work very well. And I said, well, did you tell them? And he said, no. Like, well, maybe they don't know. Like, maybe it's playing really well in their Zoom and they don't understand that it's super glitchy and the sound is super yucky. So I'm like, no, your teachers don't know unless you tell them that, Tate. And he's like, yeah, well, okay.
They can't hear what's on the other end of their, of their screens.
Yeah, so I'd be curious if people are using that in Google Meet or in Zoom, how well it is, how well is video? Or make sure you're asking your students, how well is this video playing on your end? So
yeah. It's like that. Can you see my screen thing that you should always probably say? Because I know I did that this week and I was presenting something and people were like, hey, we can't see your screen. And I'm like, oh yeah, sorry about that.
Right. Let me backtrack here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, another update here is Google has added the tiled layout view to Google Meet, where you can now see up to 16 Google Meet participants at once. Mm-hmm. However, Mindy has a hot tip for this too.
Well, maybe I do. I mean, I've heard about this, and I know that our team shared it recently when they were doing a webinar around Google Meet, and there is a Google Meet grid view extension. I have not used it because I'm not a Google Meet user per se, but it is supposed to allow you to, I guess, see all of your participants in your Google Meet. I can't imagine that there's not some sort of like max on that, but it says all of them. So it's just an extension that you add to your browser, I believe, and you're good to go. So if you're going to use that one, give it a shot. I know it was like, people were really talking about it quite a bit, probably, maybe, I don't know, was it 2-3 weeks ago? But I thought I would just mention it. And because like 16 kids, you probably have more than 16 kids in your class. So I don't know. Yeah,
for sure. I looked up the max for Zoom, and I think they were at 49. But
oh, really?
I don't want to be in a Zoom call with 49 other people.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like my worst nightmare. I barely want to be in Zoom with 4 people. Serious.
I mean, webinars are different, I guess, but that's So another update for Meet is low light mode enhancements, which are coming to mobile devices right now and the web soon, which means, your webcams are never great on laptops, it seems like. I mean, even I was reading about this on the new MacBooks that just came out recently. People were saying, yeah, they're amazing, they're fast and all the rest, but they still have crappy webcams. And Google's using some AI software to make low-light webcams a little bit better.
Well, I would definitely say the Zoom camera is better. I mean, the video quality is better on Zoom than it is in Google Meet. Wouldn't you agree?
It can be, yeah. And they also have that beauty mode, which lots of people at our agency like.
Yours truly.
The skin smoother and all that kind of stuff. Yes.
Takes off about 15 years, folks.
Yes. I feel like I could use this next one, though, in Zoom, though. It's the Google Meet noise cancellation.
Okay.
Which is rolling out to the web right now, too, and coming to mobile soon. That means that, background noises where dogs are barking or kids are running around or all that good stuff that we have right now.
Yeah.
Google Meet noise cancellation, they're kind of cutting out some of that background noise.
That's nice.
What else we got? Oh, you've seen the join a Google Meet from Gmail. Yep,
I just got it yesterday.
Yeah, usually you go to your Gmail and there's a little pop-up that appears on the screen that says, hey, you can now start or join Meets. I don't think that's any big feature improvement, but it's just maybe one less click for people.
I suppose.
The advanced features, the premium features that schools are getting right now have been extended until September 30th.
Yep.
So we have a bit longer with those larger group meetings and those recordings into Drive and all that good stuff you get from there. And last but not least, on the Google Meet updates, I saw this just this morning while I was having my breakfast. You will soon be able to use Google Meet with a Gmail account, because right now it is restricted to G Suite accounts for business or education.
Which I don't think I remembered that. So when I saw it today too, and I was like, oh, wow, really? I had no idea. Yeah.
And so I guess maybe that's, again, trying to keep up with your Zooms and your Skypes and stuff like that, that anybody can use those. They don't need a work account for those.
Right.
So, yeah, makes sense.
Okay.
Everybody needs it right now, even if they're not using Google tools.
Yeah, right.
Do you want to do these last two Google updates on here or not?
Sure, why not?
We've got the Google Sites template gallery coming back.
Right.
Where you can choose like a template for your website. So they come out with some... They've also got announcement banners and things like that, where you can, have that banner up on your screen saying, yes, our school is closed right now, and we'll be back in September, and all that good stuff if you have things like that on there. Everybody has those COVID-19 banners on their websites right now.
That's right, yep.
And time to update all your screenshots because... There is a new sharing dialog window for Drive, Docs, Sheets, Slides, and Forms on the way.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah, I don't think there's any additional features here. They're just tweaking how it looks and how you do things.
So instead of can view, it says viewer.
Yes.
Instead of can comment, it says commenter. Really? I have to change all my screenshots just for that. But
there's the Google Handbook. That's your next week taken care of.
So annoying. Oh, well. It does look more streamlined. Looks updated. Whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Sure, it was an important thing to do right now, Google. All right. Up next, served to you, piping hot. The main course for this week is a Zoom versus Meet Rumble.
Whoa!
Dun, 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 dun. Play a little Rocky.
Are you ready to rumble?
I don't know. I do feel like this. Well, first of all, a shout out to Stephanie Roberts, my best friend. She was like, hey, what do you guys think about doing an episode and kind of explaining to me the difference between Zoom and Google Meet? Can you talk a little bit about the differences? And I was like, yeah, sure, we can do that. Why not? I feel like that's a question we've kind of gotten from people, like why would I use one over the other? Or if you have school districts that are trying to decide which tool to use or which one is best. We're hoping we can kind of talk about the differences, especially around security, because that really is the most important thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, there are some stories going around, and I've been on several Zoom or Meet calls with different administrators who've said, I heard about this teacher in this district, and this happened, and it's like, that's terrible. That should not happen. But this is back in my mind. I'm thinking, there are ways to prevent that from happening. So we're going to talk about some of those today for sure.
Yeah. And I think some of the problem is that people, you don't really think that something like that is going to happen. It's not something that even enters your mind. So
yeah, for sure.
Some of these security features were already in Zoom. It's just that people probably didn't have them enabled or know why you would use them. So I don't know. Looking at the list, I'm not sure that there's a ton of those that are brand new. It's just we're going to talk a little bit about why you might turn them on or what the purpose of them would be.
Do you want to start with Meet or Zoom?
Yeah, no, let's start with Meet because I know nothing. So give me all of the things about Google Meet.
Well, here's some of the things I've learned about Meet over the last month or so.
Okay.
First one is an important one, I think, and that's that Google Meet meetings can only be joined by people in your domain. Now, there was a thing with Zoom bombing going around where people were guessing the code to get into your meeting and jumping in, and we can talk about how to fix that later. But with Google Meet, it doesn't matter if you guess the code to get in the meeting. You physically have to have an email address from your school domain in order to join that meeting. or at least that's the default setup.
Right.
You know, I've joined a few meetings from other school districts, and that can happen if they invite me through the calendar event.
Oh, okay.
Or if after the meeting is started, somebody sends me a link, the host sends me a link after the meeting and invites me by email personally.
Yuck, but
so,
okay.
Yeah,
yep.
So people without an invite can request to join if they have the link, but they have to be approved.
Which, you know, like in our setting, that's a total royal pain in the... But, you know, within a school district, it makes sense, right?
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Because we work with different school districts and all the rest, and we would have to, you know, make sure everybody had permissions and rights to join, all that stuff.
Yeah, right. Okay.
It's easier for us in the Zoom setting just to send that one link to everybody, and we know they all have permission to join.
Right.
With maybe some caveats that we'll talk about later. But yeah. But that's the number one security feature of Google Meet, I believe. So we've also got this other option here. When teachers create a nickname for their classroom, so you can either take the user-generated number that Google Meet gives you, or you can type in your own one, like Wiley1 or something. Students cannot join before the teacher when you have that code, that nickname code, or rejoin that meeting after the teacher has left. So if you join and you start the meeting, then kids can start. There's no join before host sort of thing where the kids can get in early and mess around. And as long as you're the last one to leave, the kids cannot come back.
That's the caveat, right?
Well, yes and no. There's a small window of 30 seconds or so where kids can technically jump back into the call. But if you're worried about that, then, you know, give it a minute or two and go back in and just double check they're not in there messing around. But, you know.
So I thought when our team was doing this webinar, once again, I'm going to talk a little bit. I've referenced this a couple times. I'm going to talk about it closer to the end of the show. But one of the things that I know Lynn and Corey and Beth recommended is that if you feel like kids are hanging out and you're ready to be done, like maybe your kid is crying and it's time for them, you can't hang out, you can, within Google Meet, shove people out of the room. I don't know. You can. So that's something that you could do if the meeting is over and you're ready to go and kids are kind of hanging out, you can go in and delete them out of the Meet conversation, and then it's over. You
can just kick them out, for sure. Any participants, It's like those conversations when you're having with people and you say, all right, well, good to talk to you. And then they keep talking and they're like, yep, well, I really got to go now. And then they're still talking. And
that's the story of my life, Wiley.
You need the kick button, Yeah,
right. Okay.
Also, that nickname thing works from Google Classroom too. So if you generate the link inside of the settings of Google Classroom, you can have that one link for your Hangout Meet in there too. And you can also disable the student's ability to create meetings in the admin console. So you just go into your OU, your organizational unit for the students, and you can turn off can start a Google Meet. And I know there's other tools they could jump into. They could make their own Zooms and Skypes and all the rest if they wanted to, but it could be at least one way you could have some control over school-supplied tools. If you didn't want kids making Google Meets, you can turn that off in the dashboard.
Yeah, and from my understanding in there too, you can within the admin console, you can also turn off kids' ability to invite someone else to your classroom chat. So they could take the link and share it to someone else outside of the domain, kind of like you mentioned, like how you get invited to Google Meet with other school districts. Kids can do that too, but you can turn that off within the admin console.
Good to know.
Yeah, because that could be disastrous.
That could be, yes. You never know who you might get.
You never know who you might get. That's right.
But like you said, you have the ability to mute anybody that joins your meeting or is in your meeting and to kick people out. Yeah. Right. Just click on their name and there's a little no entry sign. You click on that and they're out.
See ya later. All right.
What about Zoom?
All right. So with Zoom, Zoom has this feature called a waiting room, which allows you to kind of gather your people into the waiting room and check out who is in your waiting room. Make sure that those people are the people that you want, right?
Yes. And presuming they're not using a fake name, then yes, you
right.
just...
a fake name of the person that you know.
Exactly, right. Yes. You can admit them one at a time, or I think you could admit everybody at once.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's a good way to, like, before you start your meeting, to kind of join and make sure everybody that's in there is in. The other thing that you can do immediately following that is you can lock your meeting so that no one else can enter. So if you gather all of your people into your waiting room, kind of checked, yep, everybody's here. Then after you let everybody in, you can lock that puppy up and then no one gets in.
Yes. And we'll put a link to that on how to do these. We've got a bunch of links here for the show notes. But yeah, it's in your Zoom settings or when you're setting up your meeting. That's a great way just to prevent some Zoom bombing right there. Yeah,
right? That should take care of everything. Those two things should take care of almost everything, if not everything. The other thing that you can do is have meeting passwords. And I know, like, Tate's teacher has the same password every time. So, and I don't know that I knew this because I don't necessarily use meeting passwords or haven't had to use them. So you must be able to set your class's password. So his password is the same every time. He has different Zoom links for his 2 meetings each day. But his password is the same for both of those, which is really good, I think, especially for younger kids, that he just knows what that is now and he just types it in. Easy peasy.
Good. Yep. And it's just another layer of security you can have on there if you need it. Yep.
But the other thing to know, too, is that Zoom will generate a password for each meeting, too. So you can pass on that. It's like a 9-digit code or something. It's super secure. There's no guessing that password.
And it just puts it in the meeting invite alongside the link and how to join and all the rest. It says meeting password underneath. Yeah.
Right. What's this require registration? I'm not sure I know this one. What's this?
So I don't know if you would use this one so much for kids or not, but you could. Okay. It's the option to have people sign up in order to have access to your Zoom meeting.
So they'd have to have an account, you mean?
They don't need an account. They just need to go to a website and put in their name and their email address, and then it will send them the link to the Zoom call. Okay. And then I guess, ahead of time who's going to show up and who's not going to show up, and they automatically get a link to the thing. So it's perhaps more useful for things like webinars, but maybe if you wanted to do it for like office hours or something, and you told the kids, sign up for office hours, and then you would know if anybody's going to show up or not, because I've talked to teachers that are like, I sat on office hour the other day and I was just me on the Zoom with me. Right. I didn't know if anyone was coming or not, but registration could work for that one.
I mean, would it be simpler, though, to, like, in a Google form, have kids sign up, and then once they've signed up, in your, I don't know, the end response, whatever that thing is at the end, you could have your link in there. Would that be simpler than, for your students, maybe?
Yeah, it could be. You could do it that way, too.
Yeah. Okay. You can also disable screen sharing and disable private chats.
Yes. As the host, I have this option. I don't think you will have it on your end today, Mindy, but there's a little arrow next to the screen share button. Then if you click that, it says who can share, only the host or all participants. And it also says who can start sharing when someone else is sharing, only the host or all participants. So I can choose that on there. And I'll leave it open in case you feel like you need to share something with me today, Mindy, but
I don't.
I won't look it up. Those private chats, if you don't want kids talking back and forward to each other, inside of Zoom, you've got the option to chat to everyone or to choose select people from the list. So you can turn off that one and have those back channel conversations. What is this person talking about?
Yeah. I did see this, and I wish I should have clicked on it because I was super curious, and also made me slightly nervous, is that this was just the title of the article. Like I said, I didn't read it. Was if you someone was horrified because the host could read The private chat.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Do you know if that's true?
I don't know if that's true.
I was like, I need to look into that. I could seriously get myself in trouble.
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Oh, no.
I hope not. I'm not going to use private chat anymore.
It's like, I'm going to look into that. I don't know if that's true or not. Okay. You can also manage your participants. So this is one of the things I always have, I have set up on mine right now. And I feel like, I've gone into chats that people maybe have this turned on, but I don't know. I need to go and look at my settings. I always have it so that when people come into my my Zoom call, they're always muted immediately. I like that because I feel like it's just good practice.
I think so. Yeah.
But I feel like there's somebody who has it so that the video is off when you come in.
That is an option.
Is it an option? Yeah.
I haven't seen that, and I've been in a call like that, but yeah, that is an option for sure.
Which isn't a terrible security thing either. So, like, if you were to miss somebody, instead of having them come in sharing video immediately, you know, you could maybe boot somebody before they turn their video on. I don't know, but it's just something else. What else? Oh, you know, this is one thing that I think that Zoom did change is that the in the Zoom call, the Zoom ID used to be at the top of the window.
Yes.
And that's not there anymore. And that was a security feature that they added, right? Because if you have the Zoom ID, you could share it with people, or people were sharing webinars or something like that. And so they're putting it, and you can happen. And so I think that's been turned off. And
I think related to that, I used to use what was called the personal meeting ID. I used to set all my Zoom meetings so that they were the same number as my phone number at Grant Wood. And I thought, that'd be really easy for people to remember. But every so often I'd get an email like, your participants are waiting. And I'm like, what? Huh? I'm not having a Zoom meeting. But if that link was somewhere and someone clicked on it, they jump into my Zoom call because it's the same. It's the same link every time. So I disabled that personal meeting ID because, security.
Yeah, and I feel like they're because I know we have people of agency who've done that too. Like they always just share that same personal ID and people just hop in. But I know they're saying that, especially at this time with so many people using Zoom, that it's probably not best practice anymore. All right. Anything else you can think of? Do we nail it?
I think we got all the security things, that's for sure.
Okay. So, best practice. Quick run through. Best practice ideas for video meetings, because we video meet all of the time. What do you think are best practices?
I'm going to start by saying be careful where you're sharing your links, especially if you're not completely up to speed on all those security features.
Right.
Don't tweet out the link to your Zoom call and say, here's where we're meeting next week, or even if it's on a public website or something like that. You never know who's going to come across this stuff. So put it somewhere like in Google Classroom. If you want to email it to your students, somewhere a little bit less public than social media or public websites.
Yep, put it behind a wall somewhere, right?
Yeah.
Zoom fatigue. I feel this in my bones. Just be very conscious of how long your Zoom meetings are, and don't make them longer than they need to be. And in fact, try to make them shorter than they should be.
There you go.
Whatever you're imagining, take 15 minutes off, right?
I know, because it's one of those things I think we all felt like, maybe it's just me sort of thing. But I read this article recently on the BBC where they talked to this doctor and they said it is actually harder on your mental being and yourself to have video chats than it is compared to face-to-face chats.
Right.
You are... you miss some of those cues that you get in person. Right. You are constantly trying to, mishear somebody or listening extra careful, or you're concentrating. You feel like you should be looking at that person the whole time. There are definitely some things that make your body more fatigued and stressed. So maybe that meeting, if you were face-to-face in the same room, would take an hour. But if you're doing it on Zoom, maybe it should not take an hour. So
yeah, I would definitely like come into any Zoom meeting with some sort of plan of what you're going to talk about or what you're going to do for certain. Don't go in with just like this like overview. Be very detailed in your planning.
Yeah, and I was at a school district the other day where the administrator had done exactly that. And so shout out to Jason at Central City. He had everything laid out for what they were going to talk about. You could see the agenda, where everybody was going. But what I also liked was he worked in breaks. And he said, okay, so we're going to take a break here. Everyone's going to turn off their video and their mics. Go take care of what you need to take care of.
Yeah,
come back in 15 minutes. And when everybody's video's back on, I'll know you're back and ready to continue, sort of thing.
Yeah,
so
sure. Right.
Working those breaks as well. It's kind of that mental thing that I think people need to know. It's there, it's coming, it's something. I can get a break here soon.
Yeah. And I would even say, especially for younger kids, like if you're getting to a point where you feel like your kids need a break, then you just need to be done.
Yeah.
Just call it quits. Especially for younger kids. I just feel like I know there's some Zoom fatigue going on in this home with more than just myself. So
yeah, and that was a question someone asked me the other day. It's like, how long should a synchronous meeting be for kids? And it's like, well, that's going to vary depending on the age of the kids you have. But, the younger they are, the shorter it should be. And I'm not saying the older they are, the longer it should be. But, there's always going to be a point where, it's just going to be, all right, we're done here. You got to gauge the room, feel the room, see what the energy's like and the interactions you're getting from your meeting.
Yeah. And I think, so I know you have this link on here. So Chrissy Van Osdale, who is a friend of the digital learning team, has shared recently just some tips with how to kind of run a meeting with your students. And I actually, Annie's teacher, I think, does this really well. The other day, they have like these short little, on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, they have these short little Zoom meetings. And it's always, I think, like a STEAM or STEM sort of activity. So I happened to be down in the basement the other day when she was working. And I know her teacher had a timer going. And I don't know the specific details because I didn't want to interrupt, but she had a timer going on the Zoom call that was playing like just quiet music. And Annie was just like furiously writing. Like you could see she was really in the zone. And I think maybe that could be something that's missing too, is how are your students engaged? Being engaged, just sitting, listening to you talk or listening to, a classmate talk is not really that engaging. It's engaging for the person who's talking, right? So Annie was furiously writing, and then the timer came, turned off, and then she said, okay, now who wants to share what they've, and I feel like they were just doing like some sort of like brainstorming practice activity. And then the kids had something to talk about. And I think that's something else that's important, especially I feel like this in our jobs, is it's important to give people something to talk about. A lot of times in Zoom calls, everybody's kind of looking at each other and nobody wants to talk because there is Zoom fatigue. If you have something to talk about, or you give people the opportunity to create something or share their ideas, I think it's much more engaging for your people. And I think that was really exciting for me to see that Zoom was being used in kind of this creative, productive way for, a second grader.
Yeah. And even, that interactivity part is important, I think. I mean, I've been on calls where, people are like, okay, so who agrees with that? Who's got any thoughts? And then everybody's like staring at the screen and it's like, well, or like three people try and start talking at once, or So inside of Zoom they have this polling feature, which I always forget about. So you can just create a quick poll and have everybody vote on it. There's no reason why you can't throw in an odd Kahoot or a quizzes or something like that in the middle of your meeting. Just mix it up a little bit. Do a screen share so they can see the questions or whatever on there too. Zoom also has these breakout rooms, which we have a Facebook Live on later this week. So
Friday?
Is it Friday, I think?
Friday? I think it's Friday, maybe.
A little foreshadowing for the Facebook Lives we're going to talk about here. But breakout rooms allow you to split up your students into smaller groups where they can work on something collaboratively. And you as the teacher can jump in and out of those breakout rooms and hear what's going on there too.
Yep. And then Oh, and so to piggyback a little bit off of what you said about when everyone's kind of staring at the, screen because you're asking for a response and there's, 20 people on the call. Kelly Robertson just recently shared a link to a drive folder that has 2 docs in it, and they were created by the Autism Level Up team. And first of all, it's in social narrative format, and one of those docs is about Google Meet and the how and why of the different features of Google Meet. The other one, though, that I think is important to establish with your class are some nonverbal responses that you can give. So, if I do a thumbs up, it means I agree. If I do like moose ears, it means you need to slow down or something like that, so that you don't have to have everybody chime in and everybody feels like they can do some they can interact without everybody having to turn their microphone on. So establishing some of those for your students, I think, is a really good idea. Because although Zoom does have some of those, like they have the thumbs up and they have like the clapping sound or whatever, is not quite the same as really showing your response.
Yeah, so, you're talking about a physical gesture that people can show to the webcam and let people see.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then one last tip that I guess we didn't mention, that I do feel like Google Meet has over Zoom is that just like with Google Slides, when you turn on those captions, Google Meet has that too. So it'll generate those captions just like it does in Google Slides. And I think that is a really powerful feature that I wish Zoom had, because Zoom you have to like live type them, which is, I would imagine pretty impossible. But having those generated for kids is a pretty powerful thing.
I think it's a great accommodation where they can read what's been said, and it's very accurate for the most part, not 100% accurate, but a great option for all learners, because you never know what the environment is like where these kids are. It could be noisy, it could be there's little brothers and sisters running around, and it just helps them make sure that they didn't miss anything from the conversation.
Absolutely. Up next, Tech Nuggets. Nuggety. The nuggety.
Techie Nuggets.
Tech Nuggets. All right. What do you got? You got all kinds of... What do you got going on here? What's this list?
Well, I got some Mac Nuggets this week.
Okay.
I'm a little short on regular nuggets, so
okay.
I dug into Mac Nuggets this week.
Okay.
First one. As you know, you can do screen recording inside of QuickTime.
Yes, I did know that.
So you can open QuickTime and you can go to File, New Screen Recording. And that's something we're exploring with some schools because, I don't know, not everybody has a reliable internet connection at home to do things like Screencastify or all that kind of stuff. This is a tool that is built into every Mac. Everybody can use it and it's free. However, one of the... limitations that some people have come across is that they like to have that little webcam window appear in the corner of the screen like you do in Screencastify and things like that too.
Yep.
QuickTime doesn't have that as a native option, or so I thought, until I saw a little video from Paul Hamilton on Twitter recently. So what you do is you open QuickTime and you go to File, New Movie Recording.
Yes.
And what that does is it opens up that big webcam view of your face, basically. And that's the one where you're like talking to the camera.
That's what everyone wants to see. Yep.
So, but you don't press record on that. What you do is you resize that window and you push it off into the corner of your screen, wherever you want that to be. And then in the taskbar, the toolbar at the top, you go to View and you select Float on Top.
Yep.
So that webcam view of you will always be on top of every window that you bring up on your screen.
Okay.
And you just leave it there. And then you go back to QuickTime and you go to File, New Screen Recording. And then you do a screen recording. And because your movie recording window is up there in the corner, it will be like a picture-in-picture webcam view of you during your screen recording.
Nice.
So,
I like it.
There you go. Just an extra little bonus tip on screen recording inside of QuickTime.
Okay. So this was new to me. I had not even heard of this tool. I opened up the Twitters today, and I don't like to go on there. I don't like to be on the Twitters, especially right now. I don't want to be on the Twitters. But I did see Richard Byrne share this tool called Voice Pods. Have we talked about this ever in our lives? Do you know this?
I do not know what this one is.
Okay, so this was new to me. He was sharing updates to VoicePods, so we clearly are behind the time. But
I guess we are.
VoicePods is a extension, a tool that you add to create a recording of any text on a web page. So it takes the text and creates a voice recording from a website. The interesting part of this, because to me, I was like, okay, we've got tools that do that. So the interesting thing about this to me is that you can save that recording, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
So you can highlight the text. You can save the recording that it generates, the speech that it generates.
Okay.
It also will translate it into 10 different languages.
Really?
Yeah. So I thought that was super interesting. The other thing is, and I feel like this was another feature, but because I don't know much about the tool, I was like, okay, this is new. I don't know. It has a read-along part. And so you take the text and you plop it into the voice pod instead. And you can choose where the emphasis goes on the sentence.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And so it's completely free. You do have to create an account. So it's just not a tool that you can just go and use. You have to create an account. But it's called VoicePods. And I kind of thought, this is interesting, especially right now, if we're trying to create better access for our students, that this might be a way to generate some audio recordings of text that we might be sharing. So it is computer generated, so it does have that kind of computery sound, but you can choose the person that speaks to you. So I don't know. It might be a tool worth looking at.
So here's what I would just give you by way of an update, because I was looking at it in a new tab here.
Yeah.
It is free right now during COVID-19.
Sure it is.
They say for the next 3 months on there.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely. That's a really interesting tool, I think, for accessibility and additional learning options. I want to try this out now.
Yeah, I want to play with it some more too. But I did link Richard's video to explain those new things on there. So if you're curious about it, you can definitely take a look, see what you think.
That is a shiny nugget, Mindy.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun one.
All right, so like I said, I'm sticking with Mac nuggets this week.
Hitting it out of the park, you betcha.
I thought I'd share some keyboard shortcuts that I use quite a lot here, just to throw those in there. So I apologize to Windows users or Chromebook users out there. These will mean nothing to you, but for the next 2 minutes, I'm going to share a couple of Mac's keyboard shortcuts. Command Space is one I probably use the most out of anything. It opens the Spotlight search window, and you can search for any app or any file. You can actually do calculations in there. So if you want to do 123 times 2, just type that into the Spotlight search, and a versatile little tool that thing is in there.
Okay.
Control Command Space. We have done this one before. This is our emoji keyboard that we love so much. It basically is the same as what you'll find on an iPhone or an iPad. Mm-hmm. The old Command Tab is one I sometimes forget about, but it's a way that you can quickly switch between apps that you have open on your device. And if you do Command Tab and you keep pressing the Tab button, you hold down Command, you can select the different ones. If you do Command tilde, you go backwards.
Command tilde? Nobody knows what Command tilde is. What the heck is that?
The tilde button is the one above your Tab button.
The one above? That's the tilde button?
Yeah, that little squiggly wave thing.
You're making that up. That's not even a thing.
That's what it's called.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
And I'll give you one more tip on that Command Tab thing. If you Command Tab over an app that you want to close, and then you hit Q, and then the app quits.
No, nice. Okay.
So there you go.
Nice.
2 more. We got Command Shift 5 on the newer Mac OS is the super duper capture tool. It will let you do screenshots or screen recordings, all from that one tool.
Yep.
And last but not least is a super easy one to remember. If you just select a file on your desktop and you press the space bar, you will get an instant preview of that file. It will make it go large on your screen, and you can look at it and go, oh, there's that picture I was looking for.
How large are we talking? Like full screen?
Try it right now.
Oh, I don't want to lose any of my stuff. Okay, so I have to go to my desktop.
Select a file, or it works in Finder too.
Everything. Okay, select a file. Got it.
And then hit spacebar.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Space will close it again, and then you can just click on the next one.
It opens it in preview. Yep. Got it. Okay.
Gives you like a little look, and if it's a video, it will start playing. If it's an audio, it will start playing. If it's like a Word document, you'll get a preview. So, yeah.
Nice.
There you go. This is called Quick Look.
Okay. So I have actually 3 more things. I'm going to be super fast.
Wow.
Okay. One of them is, I came across this today, Google Classroom tutorials in multiple languages on YouTube.
What kind of languages are we like?
I saw French.
Right.
It's going to start playing in my headphones when maybe not. Portuguese,
Oh,
Russian,
yeah.
Spanish, Chinese, Haitian, Korean, Urdu. I don't know what that is. So different languages, and it's Google Classroom. It's a student tutorial in multiple languages. So you just choose which video you want in the language that you want, and you can share it that way.
That fits really well with your voice pods, I have to say. You're on a theme here. I'm on a Mac theme, and you're in a foreign language theme.
All right. And then this is a super simple one. This came from Lindsay Tobe. I think that's how you say her last name. I did not know this. In your Bitmoji extension, Chrome extension, or app, I suppose. I don't know. I don't necessarily go into the app very often, but if you just in your Bitmoji search write the word pose, it will give you your Bitmoji without the words.
Oh, right.
So like a hey or but no words.
So it will strike a pose.
It will strike a pose.
Because normally when you type a word in there, it gives you like you put hello, and it puts your Bitmoji with hello above it or something.
Right. So if you just type pose, it's just you, which is kind of nice. We use this a lot. We put our Bitmojis together, and then I always feel like I have to crop out or try and crop out different words so that it's just my Bitmoji and not like a text message of some sort. So I was like, oh, this would be super helpful for our team as we're always using our Bitmojis and kind of putting them together to make like a smaller image or something like that.
I just did it, and actually it gives you poses, but it also gives you ones with the word pose over the top.
Pose, yeah, yes. It does. Well, that's a new Bitmoji thing too, is if you type in a phrase or something like that, it will put it into specific different things so that you can make your own message.
So there's one of me doing star jumps here, one of me pointing, one of me floating through the air with love hearts. One of me just lying on the ground wailing.
Seems appropriate,
I guess.
Okay, so that was my 2. And then my last one is shameless self-promotion. So our team is on Facebook Live. We have been doing Facebook Live videos on different tools that we think might be helpful. So I believe we talked about this, right, when we did our continuous learning, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, I kept referencing our team's Facebook Live for Zoom. We also have one for Meet. Our team has created one-pagers, although I looked at them and they were not one-page. One-pager for Zoom and a one-pager for Meet. So if you're needing getting started or resources or links or things like that, we do have some resources that we have put together. And we will continue to do this online outreach for the foreseeable future. I'm not sure that we'll maybe continue doing it every single day, but you can definitely join us on Facebook. And we'd love to have you join our conversation. We've really enjoyed having some online conversations and some question and answer sessions for people that, our audience and our teachers and things like that. It's been really beneficial, I think, for lots of people. So come join us there.
Yeah, come and look for us on the Facebooks. If you search for Digital Learning Team at Grantwood AEA, you'll find us there. You can see all our previous recordings on there too. We've also put them on YouTube, is that right? Our YouTube channel?
Yes. Yep, absolutely. And we can put in that doc where all of that stuff is kind of housed in our show notes. I linked it onto our notes here too. So
some just-in-time learning for people.
Right.
And they're all like half an hour or less, aren't they?
Yes. Right.
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Wow. It's been a packed episode today. We've had a lot to talk about.
Yes, for sure. It's been a while.
It has been a while, yes. All right, so if you want to follow us on Twitter, I am at Jonathan Wiley. Mindy is at Team Carney. Her team account is at DLGWAEA. We will probably be back for another one before we quit for this summer, or maybe another 2. Let's see. I don't know. If you have suggestions, we are all ears on what you would like to hear. Or any feedback or ideas you have, please hit us up on Twitter. Until next time.
This has been the EdTech Takeout. We hope it hit the spot.
For more information on today's episode, please visit dlgwaea.org/podcast.